All right, guys, we are going to continue here with this interview on the how Russian plans on winning the Ukraine war. Let's jump in.
Saying Russia, is, for example, is running because of the effectiveness of Ukrainian strikes on refineries, that Russia is running out of gasoline, and that there are long lines at the gasoline stations. And I've been saying, I wish that was true, because I've sat in so many traffic jams with all these cars on the road that it's just, I mean, it exposes that as a lie. When did you, or let's say the Russian military, become aware that you were draining NATO? Because I imagine at the start of the special military operation in February of 2022, there was naturally an assumption that perhaps NATO was stronger and more capable than it actually turned out to be, because we saw by the summer of 2023 with the failed counteroffensive and NATO's inability to continue to supply artillery shells to sustain, they couldn't even maintain a rate of fire to compete with what Russia was unleashing. At what point did you and your colleagues start saying, wait a second, this is, they're not as tough as we thought they were. They're not as strong as we thought they were. Or did that happen?
We have to understand one thing, acknowledge one thing, that Americans have strong weapons.
Yeah.
Very pointed. That we know. That America has great guns, great artillery, great drones and planes. The mistake of NATO bloc, America and European heads of the state, those all was fighting against some kind of men in sandals that were taking care of the sheep. You have never fought with a real army like Russian. You've never fought it, and your enlightening comes when at that moment when you will acknowledge to your own self that the past time you were running after sandal guys and shepherds against whom that weapon that you had was finishing the war.
Right.
In the beginning, of course, we thought that when we got into the war, we had to do that. In the beginning, we thought that we still would be at a certain stages, we would have some kind of agreement as a state. And if you look at the rhetorics, that was, for myself from the very beginning, I always said, whatever America and NATO bloc would give to Ukraine, there is no strength that can take over Russian army. Mm-hmm. I said always, God is with us. We are focused on God. If we need to drink from the mud pile and eat grass, but we will fight and we will never give up. You don't have to compare us with some kind of shepherds in some kind of states. You can compare them and put us in one line. We have our guns, we have our industrial complexes. You remember in the beginning of war, everybody said they shot 3 rockets. That's it, they don't have any more rockets. They made 10 shots, they don't have any more shots to make. So somebody who was sitting there was evaluating what we have, what we don't have. And as a state, our own economy, we have put on the rails of provision, providing our military needs. Our plans start working. The tanks, the machinery, anything. We have that. And we have to understand for ourselves that the state that has so many plants, oil refineries, that state has a very serious reserves of oil, gas, diesel. Even if you take out everything, we're able to fight with our own reserves as long as possible, till we make new ones. If we talk about guns, same story. That the whole weapons that we produce at the plants in America, in Europe, that is all directed to Europe to go for the trial, testing. We fix it all. We learn what they provide. We understand that. Now the question, even with calculating all of this, is there Ukrainian groups that are supported by the NATO, that they cannot break the situation, they cannot stop our progress forward? Then what are you saying? Russian army weak?
You know what's crazy? And that was a lot. I remember back in 2022, beginning of, well, at post 3 weeks of the invasion, man, people were saying, yeah, Russia didn't have more supplies. They have no food. Their ammunition they didn't have any ammunition. Then by the end of the year, supposedly Russians were just fighting with shovels, and it was crazy. The level of propaganda indeed was very big. I have to say, it was very big. I remember those days. Yeah, I never realized how strong the propaganda was. But if you go to YouTube in the comment section, people were saying, yeah, Russians don't have food, they don't have this and that. And I was thinking, like, how is that even possible? How even Russia is doing something like this, and all of a sudden they're struggling with the most simple essentials? Insane. That was just a propaganda machine.
The losses that times more than Ukrainian losses. Every day we move forward. Every day we take 1, 2 villages or so. Our losses are times lesser than Ukrainian army. And you as military people need to understand that any assault activity, that's 1, 2, 3, the formula, even in that format, that carry the least losses, and continue to move forward. And there's another nuance. You said it correctly. We have emptied all the warehouses of the NATO bloc.
Yeah.
Today, if they find any global war, you won't be able to cover your own needs.
Right.
You might have guns for like a short period of time because your plants, your industry is not able to produce as much guns in such a short period of time like Russians. So what I would offer again to all those hotheads that are trying to push something, and Trump also, we have to understand that if there is a hot face in the war, bloody face, Americans to think that they are overseas and everything goes well and that they would catch nothing. It's a great lie. Russia has such guns now that they have not equal to any other. And you, as Americans, you know that, especially your generals. You had great navy, greatest in the world. That was your biggest visit card.
But you saw how we did with the Houthis, right?
No.
The Houthis drove us out of the Red Sea.
100% right. Imagine this great navy that entered Red Navy, Houthis that they were in sandals. They made the navy leave.
Yeah.
And now imagine, compare us to these Houthis. These are good warriors.
Yeah.
They do what they need to do, not looking back. But now Russia. I had a conversation with my friend Scott Ritter. Our first meeting, and when we started having a conversation, I told him one thing: Scott, in your doctrine, You have details. Any war will finish if you have serious losses. That's written in your law. Now imagine your navy, they come to the territory where they will touch military touch with Russia. And Russia has some rockets like Kinjal.
Yeah.
Others, Циркон, Орешник. These rockets out of these big boats that you have about 4,000 to 5,000 people.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just becomes it's a target that will be destroyed in seconds, 1 or 2 hours actually. You don't have such guns and you don't have such protection to protect your navy. This is our weapon, these rockets. So we have a question. You hold fists in your pants. You show us the feast, not showing the feast, trying to scare us. Don't need to scare us. Don't scare us. We've been scared by a whole history for the Russian state. We had Sweden, came, scared us. What happened to Sweden? Where's Sweden? Then Polacks came. What happened to Polacks? Mongols. What happened?
What happened? I don't know. What happened? Just tell us. What happened, man? You're saying what happened, but you're telling us what happened. I don't know what you... he lost me a little bit here. He needs to just lock in and land the plane. I don't know what...
The closest story, French Napoleon War. Russians came to his house and put him on the knees, all his army. Then we had Hitler. What happened to Hitler? Russians went to Hitler, put him on the knees, and his army. And today, if they don't leave us alone, we're going to have to come to the house and visit them. Who doesn't leave us alone? Again, I repeat, we don't have a situation when we're going to raise our hands and surrender. Economy or weapons, we're ready to go till the end. And that's what Putin says all the time. That's why I respect him. This is why I greatly respect him, and he's greatly respected by the people that are fighting. We are ready to go till the end. And I have a question. American soldiers from NATO, are they ready to go after the leaders that you have today? That every day they have a mood. I don't love, I do love. Love, not love, like with a flower. I will put on sanctions, I won't put on sanctions. Wait a minute. We have to treat each other seriously.
Yeah, but we haven't gotten to the plan of Russia, and I don't think this guy's gonna tell us. I don't think this guy's gonna tell us where's the plan and how all this is just correlated with Ukraine, right? It has to be correlated with Ukraine. I don't see any arguments here based on what's the end goal with Ukraine.
In this case, we can have an agreement, a line that for us would be peace. Of course, we want to have a peaceful life, grow our children, so we would have everything in order to go in our streets, take a walk, take a stroll outside. But if the question stays that we're gonna have to fight, we will fight till the end. And believe me, in that war, your governments will not be victorious. There's no more dominative area for America. Today, China and others, they have the resources where America is very far away. And Russia today has the biggest and the best army, the strongest army, they have the best experience, and a resource that would allow us to fight, you name, whoever you name it, as long as we need to.
Yeah, I don't know if you're aware or not of the losses that the United States sustained in World War II. Not trying to trick you, but I just want, do you know how many U.S. soldiers died in the European theater by chance? It's not a common knowledge thing, but there's what I'm dealing with is the perception versus the reality.
I don't know the numbers. I don't remember.
So let me.
It's 350,000, I think it was.
Only 189,000 U.S. soldiers died in North Africa, Europe campaign.
Oh, okay. So less than I thought. I thought it was 350,000, right?
Another 110,000 died in the Pacific theater.
Oh, okay. Yeah. See, 350,000. So it's basically all overall like 150,000.
And then they had about 130,000 that died from accidents, sickness.
So you can round that up almost 500,000.
My point in this is take, 470,000.
Yeah.
That's like half of what Russia lost just at the Battle of Stalingrad. And my point in this is that the United States has never really suffered the pain like Russia did of losing 27 million people.
Yep.
And instead, war became profitable. It became a way to make money. And we did make money without having to really pay in blood. Yeah, there were a few who died, but the majority didn't. And I maintain that that's one of the reasons the United States is so cavalier when it comes to war, whereas Russia is deadly serious.
There we go. Good point.
Yes, you have to say that you cannot compare the two. You just can't compare. At the same time, the rewriting of the history. Again, people in America, they put into some kind of confusion because, again, there will be a harvest, an aftermath. Americans have to understand reality of the past, reality of the present, and reality of the future. In this case, the population of America would make America make right decisions, the state. When Americans will find out that they are not protected by the beginning of the hot-face war fight on NATO bloc, that they will not be protected from the rockets from Russia. In that case, they're gonna think. They're gonna sit down and take a thought, and to realize that even the World War II that we speak about, that Americans lost 400 and something thousand people.
Right.
And America started war. At what stage? After Soviet Union already stood its place, kept its place, and it was fully understood that they will win, and Soviet Union was already going ahead, and only then Britain and America joined. Today they rewrite the history. They tell people that you have won World War II.
But we did. I'm sorry. We helped. I mean, I'm not taking anything out of the Russian. The Americans helped from the Western Front and the Pacific. We helped. We all won. The Allies won. But it's not Russia only won, but we Americans did help, and that helped. Remember, because you have to understand, we took out the North Africa and the western side of Germany. And then we took out Japan. We did help, right? And Russia helped as well. Why cannot we just say that? It's like that's my opinion.
You have you have joined, you've held Soviet Union. Thank you very much. Good job. But the major sufferings were in the Soviet Union part against Hitler. Major resources were spent by Soviet Union against Hitler's Germany, and Soviet Union was already going for victory, going forward. You've joined, great job, but even in this case, you didn't carry much suffering. And this was the war when we were able to fight on the Europe territory. Yes, after that, Americans took and thrown 2 nuclear weapons, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. But still, Americans and Japanese are told that these 2 bombs were thrown, there would be some kind of other, whatever, so-named sacrifices. What sacrifice are you talking about? That even in this case, America, first time in the history of the human race, they threw in 2 bombs.
Yeah.
And now is a question. You have to understand one thing, that anything would come back. Whatever you sow, you will reap.
Yeah.
And how Americans are ready that this would come back, that boomerang would come back if they get involved with Russia. Are they ready for that?
Yeah.
Are they ready?
No.
Drink from the mud pile and go to the end? They're not ready. I know that. You love sweet life for way too much, and we love we can go for death as much as you can go for life, because we know that we are the military that is protecting the interests and the values that are given to us by God.
Yes, but the thing is that I'm not getting. I'm getting a lot of probably history stuff, which it might be important to understand why we're in this situation. However, I'm not really understanding the mission or the objective when it comes down to Ukraine. We understand the descriptive. I'm entering the war because of, right? But I'm not understanding the prescription. I'm invading the war because of this result that I want to earn. I'm not understanding that part yet.
And in this case, this position, we are stronger than anybody else because we base what we do on our love for God.
Yeah.
And I think that any American who would hear that, they will think before they would go anywhere and scream, hey, we need to punish Russia. We need to punish Russia. Trump will support you. And when Trump will hear that he does not have such a support behind his back, and that Trump is screaming that we have to make great America great again. Yes, America was great, but it lost its greatness because in power in America we had people who were not able to analyze the situation.
Yeah.
They say that shouldn't be any powers, only American, that you have to dictate the terms, the conditions, who needs to get up, drink, stand up, and etc. And based on that, you had way too many conflicts where you spent too much resources.
Yeah. Trillions.
Да, все правильно.
Yeah, so far more of that backstory, but I'm not getting the plan, what's gonna be the end of Ukraine, or what are we looking to, or what are Russia looking to get with Ukraine. If I'm missing something, let me know in the comment section below. I would love to hear your guys' opinions, because I might be missing something here. I'll see you in the next one.